Hello there, and welcome back to Beyond the Bridge, where we discuss all things, well, fringe, essentially, out there, metaphysical, spiritual, alien, UFO, or whatever, just random topics, the things that, the mainstream media is not really going to want to cover. So today we are doing a, what am I calling it, blowers, or whistleblowers, or showers. Essentially, in this current climate with all of this UFO, UAP, disclosure stuff going on, there is a lot of information coming from many different angles. Some of it seems legitimate, some of it seems a little bit sus, and I want to go through and review different whistleblowers and different information that's coming through, see what the general vibe is of it, and also why the vibe is the way that it is. So, in fact, just a moment. Just fixing the lighting. There's something wrong with my camera. Anyway, let us go for gold one moment. Sweet. Cool. Okay. Let's go. I have already seen this particular video, and I have also seen the other two as a part of this particular trio of videos that Shawn Ryan is doing. He's doing three different whistleblowers that were found by Stephen Greer, or should I say they approached Stephen Greer. Supposedly all three of these whistleblowers have spoken to the Congress. I've listened to all three of them. One of them I think is absolutely phenomenal. DC Long, the one we're doing today, I'll let you know. And then the third person, I actually believe that it's all a crock of shit, everything that he's saying. I think he believes it, but I don't think what he believes is true. And we will get to those either later on today or tomorrow, so let us go. Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're in the middle of a three-part...
I'll let you know, and then the third person.
This is part 2. Today we have DC Long, an Army combat veteran who witnessed a hovering monolith.
Do let me know if you want the sound up or down on the video, and if there's any other settings that you want me to fix. This is my first time live streaming, doing a reaction video, so anything that you would like me to do or want to change, just let me know. I'm happy to accommodate. Sweet.
Structure in an underground facility on an army base. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, and for those of you that are content creators, we've seen you guys pulling our content off of our episodes. We really appreciate it. We made it easy on you. There's a link below. It's got hundreds of raw reels that you can take, download for free, make your own content out of it, monetize it, make money. All we ask is you tag the show. Love you all. Enjoy the content. See you soon. This game.
Yeah, I should probably be getting a paid account on here.
Welcome to the show, brother. Pleasure to meet you. So, we met also at Dr. Greer's conference in D.C. with the Whistleblower Conference, and I just want to...
Give me just one moment. Just need to reply to a quick message. Let's go. Sorry about that. I have a friend coming into the airport, and he wanted to remind me that he's going to the airport, which, yes, I do know.
Cool. It's an honor to have you here. I know it takes a lot of courage to come out and talk about what you're talking about after so long. And we're here to get your testimony of what you saw out to the public. What are your goals?
It's an honor to be here, first of all. We spoke earlier downstairs. It can't be pushed further. I mean, you have to give yourself more credit, because I wouldn't be alive. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair if it wasn't for you. If it wasn't for the people that you've had on before.
I think that's pretty big compliments already for Shawn Ryan. The guy does seem
The reason I'm here
genuine.
just as much, so
He's clearly had a lot of stuff happening in his life that he's dealing with.
I'm glad the show helped you. It's helped a lot of people, and I said it before, I'll say it again. You know, one of the main things we do here is we want to bring hope, especially to vets. You know, overcoming all the trauma that has gone on for the past 20 years, and it will come again. You know, and document history, tell truth, expose corruption, and again, bring hope. And you're a perfect example of that hope. So thank you for saying that.
I appreciate it.
But now, before we get too sentimental here, I want to give you an introduction. So DC Long, you're in the DC Long, you're in the U.S. Army, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. 1997 to 2013 was your service. Medically retired from injuries received from a combat jump. Your father was a government contractor also at Fort Bragg, and you had a encounter with a what we call monolithic slab hovering off the ground at range 19.
I already have a few suspicions as to what these hovering slabs are, well, not rather what they are, but how they are hovering, just based on some of the channelings I've heard from Bashar. I'll explain later on when he gives a bit more information on them, but just, yeah.
At a
Cool.
secret underground bunker. And so we're here to document that testimony. Before we get started, everybody gets a gift. Even you. And
Yeah, the gummy bears.
The only thing I brought you was me.
If I was on this particular
That's
show,
all right.
I
That's more
personally
than
wouldn't be
enough.
going for them.
Let's
They
do what it's all
do a
about.
bit of a number
Thank
on
you
my
so
head.
much, man. That means a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So those are Vigilance League gummy bears.
Is it legal?
They are legal in all 50 states. We actually got an email once.
Actually, that's it though. I do have a Copaiba thing which does work on the cannabinoid receptors in my brain and does help me relax without me going too wacky. Then again, the few times that I have had it and then gone to sleep, I have had like a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream, which is kind of a little bit wacky. So I mean, I suppose it is still screwing with my brain.
Somebody sent us an email, and they said, "Man, I'm on my third bag and I still don't feel anything." I was like, dude, you're not supposed to feel anything. They just taste good. But
That's awesome.
yeah, but so we're here to get your eyewitness account on what happened on that day. When was that? When did this happen?
That happened in 2011. At the end of 2010, beginning of 2011, when I was still in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Were you still active?
Yes, I was. And incidentally, it had nothing to do with my military career. Anything that I did in service had absolutely nothing to do with it, in the sense that
I'm interested to see what happens with his hands and whatnot. At the moment, he's in a relatively comfortable position, with his hands on his knees the way that they are. However, that is also a soothing position. Hands on your knees like that is quite good for soothing. But we'll see.
as you said, my father was a government contractor, and on occasion, I had a 30% stake in the business, so he would ask me to help him out whenever I could. So I took leave. I came back down to Carolina to help him out. That day, the day in question,
I do feel like the chairs are specifically made to try and make people feel more comfortable as well. The whole sitting back in the chair forces people to feel a bit more comfortable, which is good.
That's where I met him. He told me that we were going to get an escort from JFK Warfare to take us over to a place called Range 19. Is it thundering outside?
It is.
Okay. I didn't know if you'd set me up.
Yes, the other way he did the rubbing on his knees there, that is a soothing thing. He is feeling very uncomfortable being here, which, from what you are about to hear, I can tell why.
Well, where was I? I apologize.
You got selected to go to Range 19.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they called us. He called me up, said that we had an escort coming from JFK Warfare, to meet us and take us to a place called Range 19.
Just real quick, what was your dad's business as a contractor?
It was turnkey. Originally, it started out doing residential and commercial construction from the monolithic slab to turnkey. Everything was subcontracted in-house. So it's whatever you needed.
The way he answers questions reminds me of the way my partner answers questions, which is that when he is asked a particular question, he'll give an answer which already assumes that the person he's talking to knows the details. So, like, for example, he was asked, what does your dad do as a contractor? And he goes, oh, well, it's turnkey. Originally, it was like residential, because he assumes that we already know that his dad works in construction, and so he's giving finer details on that he does turnkey construction. Previously it was residential construction. Which I guess he must think more in pictures rather than in words, and so assumes that when he's giving the information that he's giving, it's creating the picture in our minds as it does in his mind.
As long as you had plans.
It was construction.
Right. That was the main purview.
Why do you think you guys got selected to do this?
Well, as long as my dad was there, he's always had hunting land in North Carolina. And a lot of the guys from group that he met there would come down to his land, go hunting with him. A couple of the Delta Cats that he knew take us on their planes. We'd go down to Arkansas and do some duck hunting. And it's all over the U.S. Montana, Colorado, Mesa, elk hunts, bear hunts. It's just the guys who were into it. That's how they got tied in. And he did submit everything that he did through the Army Corps of Engineers. That's where he would submit all of his bid submittals for the contracts. Like the Force Com building that they built on Fort Bragg, and do some duck hunting. It's all over the U.S. Montana, Colorado, Mesa, elk hunts, bear hunts. It's just the guys who were into it. That's how they got tied in.
Just 1 moment. I just wanted to check something with the way
the Army Corps of Engineers.
Shawn Ryan is sitting.
That's where he would submit all.
I thought that he was on like a raised platform here. You can see, with that light in between them, it makes it look like he's sitting raised up, but it's not. Just a trick of the lighting. Would have been a bit weird. Shawn Ryan has himself sitting above his guests. Peel.
Of his bid submittals for the contracts, like the Force Com building that they built on Fort Bragg. He was responsible for the top 3 levels of it, and but as far as how he got tied in to do the work around McKellar's Lodge during the SF compounds, I have no idea. We didn't talk about that in that sense. So I just assumed it was the guys that he had met, and I knew him well enough just not to ask questions.
Where it needed to go.
Say again?
They got the bids into where it needed to go.
Right.
Okay.
And it's not like it was a public bid.
I think it's clear that he doesn't know how his dad got to the role, and he's just trying to fill in the blanks.
Curious people. So it's not like they had to worry about us saying anything.
Yeah.
Can't imagine even not being curious, but then again, I suppose it takes all types to have a society.
Up there, like I said, the escort comes to meet us. It's one of the guys that he knew that he had hunted with. I didn't know this gentleman. But they pick us up in a van. We get in the back of it. They take us out about 15 minutes. And I could tell it was going towards the direction. I don't know if you're familiar with Fort Bragg.
I'm not.
Oh, okay. There's only one direction you can go to get to the live fire ranges, to get to the drop zones and things like that. So I assume we were headed towards Sicily or Normandy drop zone, because that was the direction we were going. The van that they had us in, it didn't have any windows. You couldn't see to the front. It was just a cattle car. And we were joking they were going to take us away, ask him what he did, and we're going to head to Leavenworth for a little while. But
one thing that you generally find with people who are faking what they're talking about, they will not really have much detail on the boring stuff in between. Like, for example, let's say I wanted to tell you a story about how I'd gone into town and there was a crash. I wouldn't be saying, I left the house at about 3:30. There was kind of no traffic on the way out of Shotover Country, and then continue on down the main road, and it was kind of a little bit weird because blah 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 blah. There was police presence and shit. And then I eventually got into town, and generally, if you are just trying to tell a story, you'd be like, yeah, so I left home, and then in town there was a blah blah blah. Like, all the details in between when you're faking a story are a lot more difficult to fake. So the fact that he's managing to tell a concise story with all of this, and he said that he assumed different things, but of course those are assumptions he made at the time based on the given evidence. He's not making up assumptions now as such.
We get there, and as soon as the door opened, it looked like a literal dump. There was just trash everywhere, not like people just leaving stuff out. It was an actual dump. That was a 45-degree concrete door setting out of one of these hills that was directly in front of us, no further than you and I are to each other now. And so we go inside.
If I wanted to hide stuff, I would make it look like an absolute trash heap, and then that way you don't really have people wandering around, because trash is kind of gross. The only people you get wandering around are possibly homeless people or people using drugs, and who is going to believe them if they say that they saw something crazy?
I meet another escort in there, take us to this freight elevator. We get in there, 2 series of buttons, didn't have any writing on it. One of the guys looks at my dad and is saying to both of us, keep your head down, your eyes on the heels of the man in front of you, or you'll be shot. And we kind of started giggling because, at least I knew that one of the guys was one of his buddies, people that he used to hang out with. And the other guy, I recognized him as the guy who we went hunting with before. I knew later on that they were both Delta operators. If they were still active, I have no clue.
Do you know their names?
I do.
Do you want to
No,
say their names?
absolutely not.
Okay.
And I'll tell you later why. But yeah, hell no.
So you're seeing familiar faces, which makes you comfortable.
Right.
And you don't realize how.
The shitstorm I just stepped into? Yeah, absolutely not.
What exactly were you guys there to do?
What he told me was that we were going down below ground to set up a shoot house.
Okay.
An indoor live fire range that was going to be underground. Nothing new. Again, I didn't think anything of it. We had done other shoot houses before with the open tops that can be viewed from above.
Mm-hmm. With a catwalk.
It didn't
even phase you.
It was just another day of work.
Okay.
And I was just there to help him out. But we get down, the doors open, and
So I guess his dad
first thing I see
does
are
like
these
quantity surveying
personal
as
cars
well
to my
as.
right.
Sorry, I was saying it seems like his dad does quantity surveying as well as the construction side of it. So goes in and does measurements and whatnot, works out exactly what is required for the construction that he's going to do, and then obviously I guess he makes it off-site and then brings it all in.
The smaller ones, not the larger ones that you see scattered around, or like the ones you'd see on a big rig carrying around. These were the small ones. You would throw your personal gear in to go before you get shipped overseas. And as soon as I looked past them, I could see this giant monolithic slab just sitting there. At first, it didn't, once again, it didn't set off any alarms. I didn't think much of it, but the closer we got to it, I could feel this intense vibration. But you couldn't hear anything. It was dead silent in there. The loudest thing was the footsteps that I could hear. And
what did the vibration feel like?
It felt like being at a concert, standing next to one of the speakers, and
Without
the bass
the noise.
just permeating through your body without the noise.
There was zero noise. Just
Zero.
vibration.
Absolute zero. I could still hear myself breathing over this, but inside, it was such a strange feeling to have. So the closer I got, I was like, I gotta check.
Interesting. So what I've heard from Bashar, if you want to look him up, just search for Bashar on YouTube or Duralanga and look for levitation. So essentially, the way you do levitation is you bombard an object with a particular frequency. So, for example, let's say you've got this pen. Let's say that at this height, let's say this is ground level. At this height, the pen has a location frequency of 1, and then the location frequency of the pen here is a 2. So to get something to levitate, you bombard this pen that has a frequency of 1 with a frequency of 2 in vibration, and then it will force it to levitate. I always assumed that it was like a sound frequency thing and you'd be able to hear it, but I guess there must be a way to create a frequency field without sound, which is interesting. I have also had a lot of looking into people who claim to have
polished or just completely
there
translucent.
it goes, gone back again.
There was something behind it, but you could tell it had a smooth surface to us. And the only lights that were on in that hangar that we were in were direct.
I'm not sure if what got missed there. Reconnecting in stream. There we go. Back to it again. Guess we'll just continue paying attention. Sorry, what I was saying is that his hand movements are congruent with the story, such as him saying like we were like walking along and moving his hand forward like this here. Like it's difficult to match hand movements to a story that you're faking. When you are faking things, generally your hands stay pretty still. If you can move your hands while faking something, then I don't know, good on you. You are better at faking things than most.
It was about 20 foot long. It was about 7 foot tall, and I couldn't tell how wide it was. By that point, I was already directly in front of it.
So there's like, absolutely, it would be impossible for a human to even think about picking something like this up.
Oh, there's no way.
Okay.
Even with the construction that we've done, if you had to pick up something like that to move it anywhere, you would need at least 3-4 cranes.
Oh, wow.
Herrera could tell you better.
Okay.
You know, the scope of equipment that it would take just to get it off the ground, you know, not even to transport it to another location. But at this point, I'm still down on my knee, and I'm looking, and behind it, I can see 2 people standing, only there around, you know, not even to transport it. And the only...
What did the slab look like?
It just looked like a grant overseas.
Oh, sorry, I missed part of that there because I was messing around with stuff. I'm just gonna change this to 1.2 speed, and wait, we'll go back to it. There we go.
And as soon as I looked past them, I could see this giant monolithic slab just sitting there. At first, it didn't, once again, it didn't set off any alarms. I didn't think much of it, but the closer we got to it, I could feel this intense vibration. But you couldn't hear anything. It was dead silent in there. The loudest thing was the footsteps that I could hear. And
What did the vibration feel like?
it felt like being at a concert, standing next to one of the speakers, and the
Without the
bass
noise.
just permeating through your body without the noise.
There was zero noise. Just
Zero,
vibration.
absolute zero. I could still hear myself breathing over this, but inside, it was such a strange feeling to have. So the closer I got, and I was like, well, I gotta check this out. So I go down to one knee, thinking I gotta tie my boots, and then I glance up underneath it, and there's absolutely nothing underneath this damn thing. Nothing holding it up whatsoever.
What did the slab look like?
It just looked like a granite slab, but the sheen on it is what caught my attention the most. It was kind of in between being polished or just completely translucent. There was something behind it, but you could tell it had a smooth surface to us. And the only lights that were on in that...
There is a theory regarding the pyramids and the stones that they had, that they were done with a form of like cement, but not actually cement. Back to the whole frequency and vibration thing, that essentially they were able to materialize the blocks. So, like, let's say that you've got a solid piece of rock there, use your vibration technique to bring it over to here, but also part of that vibration process is you bombard it with a different form of vibration, and that causes the rock to reshape itself. It becomes kind of like putty. And then when it is no longer being bombarded with that particular vibration frequency, then it solidifies back into the rock, which means that when you have something like granite or whatnot, it'll be incredibly smooth and shiny when you finish it. Because it just gets rid of any kind of imperfections and roughness on it when you can mold it into shape. So yeah, not ancient concrete, more like turning it into just a liquid and then solidifying it again using vibrational frequencies.
Hangar that we were in were directly over our head, where we were walking through that walkway. And
How big was the slab?
oh god, it was about 20 foot long, about 7 foot tall, and I couldn't tell how wide it was by the point I was already directly in front of it.
So there's absolutely, it would be impossible for a human to even think about picking something like this up.
Oh, there's no way.
Okay.
Even with the construction that we've done, if you had to pick up something like that to move it anywhere, you would need at least 3-4 cranes.
Oh wow.
Herrera can tell you better.
Okay.
You know, the scope of equipment that it would take just to get it off the ground. You know, not even to transport. If you had to pick up something like that to move it anywhere, you would need at least what it was by that point I was already directly in front of it.
So there's that
hangar that we were in were directly over our head, where we were walking through that walkway. And
how big was the slab?